Hi, this is Glenn Hughes of Black Country Communion, rocking the airwaves on Backbeat the Rock Sauce with AndreGraziadei.
All music is the same. It's just a new set of lyrics and a new backbeat.
Well, Glenn, thanks a lot for taking time out to have a chat today. Do you come from a musical family background, or what tweaked your interest in music?
My family background is a sincere love of band music from Frank Sinatra, who became my friend, to Glenn Miller. I was named after Glenn Miller. If anybody wants to Google Glenn Miller with two N's, he was a famous trombone player in the Second World War who lost his life on a plane.
Yeah, they really don't know what happened.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
Right.
But I was named from him. So my mom and dad are very musical, but not musicians. So I grew up with the sound of Frank Sinatra.
The big band era.
Yeah, and I grew up with a lot of Tony Bennett. A lot of melody was played in my house when I was young. And of course, Elvis didn't really do it for me. But when I heard John and Paul, that's when it really got my attention. And then I was a big believer in strong melody. And I think McCartney has been the greatest composer since Mozart and Beethoven, for me, in my opinion. So that's what, my family brought me my first guitar and bought me the trombone like Glenn Miller, and I learned to play like Glenn Miller. And I was destined to be, like some lawyers are destined to become lawyers. They go to school and they work hard. I have never really had to work at this because, let's just say that I believe in something greater than myself, who's given me the ability to have this gift, not only to play bass and to sing, but to write compositions that are about human things, not rather. I don't write about fairies, witches, or
nothing mystical.
No.
Talk about real life.
I write about the human condition, and my parents have given me that belief.
The gig that you were supposed to have 10 days ago didn't happen.
I want to address that. 2 days before in Milan, I was feeling rather funny in the stomach, and I know from being a lifetime member of the planet, that feeling when it comes on. Let's just say that in my lifetime I've had 4 times when I've had this stomach feeling, the virus, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So I knew it was coming, and I was trying to fight it by not eating or not this and that. And when I got to Stuttgart, all hell broke loose. I must say that in all my years, I have never, even coming off drugs and alcohol 20 years ago, I have never in my life had a hellish encounter with any kind of form of physical or mental feeling. It's completely dehydrated me of everything liquid except blood inside my body.
Whoa.
I was completely, and I'm being graphic now.
Right.
But the nurse came at the end of the hell encounter, and she hooked me to an IV for 90 minutes with glucose and sugar and water and, electrolytes to enable me to stand up.
Wow.
So the day of the show in Stuttgart, I couldn't stand up. I attempted to leave the room to come down here to honor my availability.
Right.
But in my honest opinion, I probably would have suffered worse if I just couldn't stand up. So my apologies to anyone that was let down. I love Germany. My wife is German. I love being here. I think it's better to see Glenn Hughes at full capacity than at 0. So my apologies once again.
So you were given your first instrument. What was the first one that you actually bought yourself? Your parents gave you your guitar.
Oh dear. Well, they bought me up the first 4 or 5 instruments. And the first one I bought myself would have been the bass that I started playing bass, 1962 jazz salmon bass. I bought that in '68. That's the first instrument I bought. My parents bought me all the ones before that. The first instrument I ever bought was a bass. Mom bought me the first Rickenbacker and the first Telecaster and the first Gibson 330. And
that's Joe's favorite guitar.
which one?
The 330 Gibson.
Yeah. That's when I wrote all the trapeze music on, the first Medusa album on the 330. The Telecaster was when I was playing in cover bands, and the Rickenbacker was before that. So, but,
so your bass, you still own it? The
no,
first one, no?
Like a fool, when I wasn't famous back in those days. When you normally would trade your bass and get another bass, and you'd have one or maybe two guitars, no more. And I would trade one. I traded the Rick to get the Tele. Then somebody basically stole my Telecaster right from in front of my eyes. I lent them my Tele. I was 17. I lent this older guy in a kind of a famous band my Tele, my beautiful '66 Tele, brand new. And 3 months later, my dad, because I was very shy, went to get it back, and he had painted it Volkswagen green, and I was so upset that I couldn't look at it. So, I traded the '62 Jazz for a '62 Fender P.
So you just traded up.
I traded out.
So the first Backcountry Communion album was a brand new stab in rock, with a sound we could only define as BCC.
Right.
Now, a raw energy and vibe delivered with I think, an uncompromising uniqueness. The second album finds the members dipping into their respective past and weaving it sort of into the material. Was it an attempt to reach a broader audience?
I don't know. I just think that I've always been a firm believer in not repeating myself. When you listen to my albums from back to front, or BCC or Glenn Hughes solo, there's always going to be a twist. There's never going to be. I'll never make Burn Part 2. Or, I like to challenge myself. In fact, I challenge myself probably more than I should. That's my alcoholic tendencies in recovery. I'm a perfectionist, but I'm also believe in imperfection. There's nothing perfect in this life. When anything is perfect, it's flawed. But I like to challenge myself, not only in the music. I bring most of the music into the band alone, and then we kick it around. Lyrics are mainly by me. I like to challenge myself on the lyrical level. I like to go a little deeper and darker. I don't think about chicks and sex and drugs anymore so much. I just think about dark stuff. And I just wanted to go on the roller coaster. I wanted to take my audience with me. The band want me to do that. They don't want me to write about things I don't know.
So inner demons.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Everybody knows about what I've done on the shit and naked on the roof and the police and the jail. And everybody knows that. But I'm singing about life on life's terms. That's Coverdale, by the way.
Do you think BCC would be where it is without Kevin Shirley?
I don't think every member is equally as important. I'll tell you what Kevin Shirley is, and this is a good question for you, for your listeners. On the first album, because I produce my own records, on the first album I like it like giving somebody the keys to drive your car, and then you take them back, and then I didn't fully let him drive the car. And on the second album, I decided I was going to allow him to drive my car, because if you don't, he's going to take the keys anyway. He's taken them from Jimmy Page and the Robinson Brothers, and Iron Maiden, and surely he's going to drive my car. Kevin is when you work with Shirley, when you walk into the studio, it's his studio. Whether it's a rental studio or of his home, you're working into his domain.
So he's the petrol and you're the driver.
Yeah, and I'm the one that confronts him, not angrily, but I'll say, I'll write a song, and we recorded it, and I'll say, I'm not sure about that G chord. You write the songs, you sing them, and I'll fucking produce these songs. You're not mean, but... And I went, all right. And it was, when I let the line in the sand go, it was fine. Because he knows what he's doing.
I would think
He's
so.
not perfect.
Well, who is? Nobody is.
But what I'm saying to you is that I don't really care what he does for Maiden or Black Crows or. I just think that he has some kind of a vision here, and what he's done for me is that most of the vocals, some of the vocals are live. We've just done a live recording, as you know, in Germany. Why should I go and make it like the record? I mean, some of these vocals on 1 and 2 are live, and they're not like perfectly, but they're raw and organic, and they're pain. You know, he said to me, "It sounds like you're desperate." I said, "Well, I am. I want this. I don't want it to be bright and shiny and fake. You know, that's what he brings to me." And by the way, when I sing for him, there's a very good connection. I don't like to work with producers who do not look and feel my pain or my desire. And I work with a few that are soulless.
So you just wrapped a solo tour, released both a book and a new album with BCC, and also host your own radio show.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback have you had so far for the show?
It has been not overwhelming. Yes, for me it's been overwhelming.
Right.
For my fans, my really hardcore fans, it's been a long time coming. I've had let's just say I've had a very high cult audience, for a long time, and now those cult audiences are welcoming the greater fan base. Let's just say not so much Joe's fans because they're blues fans. I think my fan base is now, because it's almost gone mainstream. And I have to say this to you, that I never doubted that I would have my time again, if you will. And I am so humbled by this second coming of Glenn, but I've never doubted myself. I've never doubted my work rate. Let's just say I've done a few things I'm not happy with. I've never done anything just for money. If I'd have done things for money, I would have been a lot wealthier. I've refused things. But I'm now doing things on my terms. And all of a sudden now Glenn is like the darling of the rock industry. And because I think people know that I'm genuine.
Right.
They know that I'm not a bad guy. You know, so I'm sensitive though, man. I'm very sort of eccentric in my way. But I'm not a bad man.
Yeah, but most artists are.
Yeah. I am a persona, as you'll see from my live show. There's a persona there. I think that's, I'm good friends with Bowie and Alice and other artists that I've known throughout my life, and there's a persona that I like to think as a rock and roll persona, more so now than Purple.
Okay.
And definitely with Sabbath, because that was a disaster.
Right.
What we see with BCC, that this band and Shirley want the persona, which is Glenn Hughes, the other guy, to shine. So I'm connected to that. For 2 hours a day, that's what is up there. And Alice is, is really good mates. And so I don't know, it's a good thing.
So back to the book. What was the catalyst for you to decide to write your autobiography?
I declined it 20 years ago when I got sober. A couple of famous writers wanted to do the co-author thing, and I decided 5 years ago, when I did sort of after the Soul Mover and Naomi thing, when I was coming back to rock, that I think I had something to say. I also had some stories and secrets to tell. That I think for people, some people like me, I'm the kind of guy that doesn't want to go to the grave with dark stuff. I know my friend Jimmy Page will write a book and he will release it when he dies because he wants to tell some shit. I want to be around. See, with me, there's always going to be an enigmatic focus on Glenn Hughes. Is he, isn't he, is he, did he, didn't he? And the fact is, none of my business what people think about me. It's what I am telling you is my truth. And with the internet today, people shooting down, and it's cool, it's okay. I read all kinds of shit about me and Joe and Jason, and one crazy one last week that we were playing somewhere in America. And those are like somebody tweeted, I just saw Jason and Glenn in a pub drinking beer and eating chicken wings. Well, I haven't done a drinking. It's great because you get all this crazy shit. You have to embrace it.
Yeah. Fame and fortune shares the stage with private demons and the ups and downs of the business. How do you view success?
Oh man, I have never, ever in my life, ever viewed it as a financial gain. Mm-hmm. My music, my art form has always come first. As I said before in this interview, I could have financially and materialistically made more money by going other routes. Mm-hmm. Let's just say for 10, 15 years I made super funky groovy records to a very high grade other audience than rock. Just because it really flipped me, it gave me some vibe. And people thought I was insane. And I just think my greatest success has been A, been kicking drugs and alcohol, and B, coming back to this on my own terms, and that's the success for me. Mm-hmm. God will take, and I don't want to offend any German people. Right. My wife is German, and I love my wife, and she doesn't believe in God either, but I do. I believe in the things happen for a reason, you know, and I'm one of those guys that has hung in, been shot down a few times, been left for dead, and even people thought I was dead, disappeared. My greatest success is to actually come back while my parents were alive to see their son have some dignity in his life. That's the greatest success for me.
If you could hop into a music time machine, where would you go?
1968.
Why?
Because that was the start of me writing, and the Glenn before he took a drink and a drug. Mm. And the Glenn, the flower power Glenn, the guy that was really understanding about the instruments I was playing. I wasn't singing a lot then, but I was learning about harmonic feelings and how to connect inside with my instrument. That was the most pure time for me. Remember, before I'd taken a drink, a drug, or before I, you know, went crazy with chicks, and I never smoked a cigarette in my life. Living with my mother, my grandmother, my father, in that home, at the start of my career. And all this time, looking back, I mean, I'm not a greedy man. I've had a great, if it ended tomorrow, I've been overpaid. If my life ended tomorrow, I have been overpaid.
Not many people will claim that.
No, well, I don't.
No.
You know, God has taken care of me. He really has.
Well, I'm happy for you. You're a prolific songwriter and have released numerous solo albums. One of my favorites is The Way It Is.
Mine too.
Germans generally analyze song text more than most people.
Wow.
They do. Do you ponder a long time about your lyrics, or do you just use words that fit the rhyme?
I'm got both.
Both?
I think tonally it has to be It's definitely that. And McCartney will tell you the same, and Stevie Wonder will tell you the same. But there's a certain amount of depth in it. I mean, that song, The Way It Is, it's very simple. It's about a girl that dumped me, and it's like, you know, I needed to. When the Japanese heard that as the opening track, they went, how can you have something such a soundscapish, and why isn't it? Listen, guys, this is me.
At the moment, yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I could say a number of songs on that album that was about self-denial and denial and fear. A lot of that goes on in my songs, but I gotta write about what's going on with me, and what's probably gone on with you too.
Likely. You've been part of some of the biggest bands in rock and rubbed shoulders as well as collaborated with the countless array of artists and musicians. Is anyone left on your wish list?
Truly no. I say that to you because I have said people's names in the last 20 years. And I can say this to you as an honest person. that the honor came to me to work with someone that was very, very nice and kind, and somebody that I could learn from as a human being. I would work with them, famous or not. I have very, very famous friends. Some are more nurturing than others.
Right.
And I only want to work right with people that are gracious in their belief in what their role is in life. There's some great artists out there that I don't want to work with them because they're into self-righteousness. And let's be clear, everybody's got an ego.
Yeah.
But I've sat down with some of the greatest songwriters and never done anything but just bullshit. You know, so that's why I write alone. I write the stuff alone, then I bring it to Joe and I say, "This is going to make it or not," and you know, it's the way it is. But it's not over yet. Remember, my career now, funny enough, is starting again. So
you've released numerous albums. You live in California, but you're not very well known in the U.S. Does that give you some kind of anonymity?
Great. Not great in the fact that I think it's changing because we've just done the American tour and Joe was blown away because I hadn't toured America since Purple, which is 30-something years.
Right.
And and Joe will tell you this, there was more Glenn fans than anything else. There was a lot of old school, okay, and their children with old trapeze shirts on, and they were coming out in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I was, after every show, 300 or 400 people after by the bus, all Glenn fans. And I've got to tell you, I had no idea. I had no idea that I had fans in America.
So there's an underground movement there somewhere.
I had no idea. I swear to you, I had no idea. And now there's going to be, you know, I'll be touring up, you know, next year on my own in America.
But can you move around the U.S. without being known?
Of course, yeah.
That's must be the nice thing about it.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
But not in L.A. and New York. No, it's not. It's a bit. Yeah, it's there is a little different. I mean, lately I noticed. Yeah, You know, and let me just say this to you. I'm not I go to a few A-list parties. And I do. You know, I'm involved because I'm in fashion designers and stuff like that. And you know, my best friend's a top fashion designer in America, John Barbados, and I do mingle with a select group of people that, let's just say, are A-list people. But they're my friends.
What would you like to be best remembered for?
Oh man, that I'm one of the very few men and women that have come back from certain hell and lived to tell the tale. And to stand alongside my parents and to be welcomed home into the town I was born, and to be welcomed as someone that has beaten the demon. I kicked its ass. I have to do it on a daily basis. That's my, and all this financial and stuff that's going on with me now, all this material and all this fame, it's irrelevant to the fact that I have beaten cocaine addiction.
And that your parents get to see you.
Yeah. And they talk about I've spent £1 million on. It's not
right. Could you name your top 5 desert island discs?
Sgt. Pepper, Exile on Main Street, Songs in the Key of Life, Music of My Mind, and What's Going On.
Very nice mix. So, Glenn, thanks a lot for chatting.
Here we go.